Boeing agreeing to plead guilty to criminal fraud and pay a fine of $243 million tied to the fatal 737 MAX crashes back in 2018 and 2019. The deal, which requires a judge's approval, would brand the U.S. aerospace giant as a felon, but allows the company to avoid a trial. Now, this could complicate, potentially, the company's ability to do national security work with the U.S. government. Reuters just reporting the Pentagon will assess Boeing's DOJ agreement before determining how best to protect government contracts. Well, joining us now, Shah, managing partner of Shield Capital, a VC firm focused on defense tech. He was also the managing partner of the Pentagon's Defense Innovation Unit and the author of Unit X, How the Pentagon and Silicon Valley Are Transforming the Future of War. This is a new book focused on that tenure and on that relationship between defense tech and the Pentagon. Raj, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Morgan, glad to be here again.
So you're a defense and national security guy. I'm not going to ask you about the commercial piece of the business at Boeing, but I do think this highlights both the impacts that that business could have on the defense and space business of Boeing, and also more broadly, this conversation, this debate you see playing out in real time around military readiness and the role of defense primes like Boeing and the need for some of these new tech startups to be able to fill the void.
Absolutely, Morgan. I think what the Boeing case and what we're seeing broadly is showing the importance of innovation, particularly software, and how it's changing aerospace and defense. You know, the locus of innovation has shifted to the commercial sector, right? The market caps of Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, each are 3x times the broad industrial base. And so for the Pentagon and the government to be able to work with these commercial companies that are different is really, really critical for our national security.
So in light of that, when you see a report like we just saw from Reuters about Boeing, how is this set? How is the scene set, I guess I should say? And I have the book right here because you have been instrumental in bridging the divide between Silicon Valley and the DoD. But how is the scene set for some of these companies and these startups and these defense tech players to be able to come in and compete against the Boeings and the Lockheeds, et cetera, of the world, especially at a time where programs of record, we talk a lot about the valley of death when it comes to defense tech investing, when so many of those big programs are still going to the primes.
Yep. So look, we've had almost two systems of technological production in this country, right? If you see on the cover of the book, you have an F-35 and an iPhone. The F-35 is a fifth generation, basically flying computer, but its design was frozen in 2001 and didn't fly until 2016. At that point, the state of the art had already flown past. You know, your iPhone 16 now has 100 times the processing power of that aircraft. So how did that happen? You know, it's the speed of innovation has really changed. But Morgan, I tell you, the good news is that you know, from 10 years ago when we were setting up the Defense Innovation Unit till today, we've seen a sea change both in the Valley. Almost $40 billion was invested by venture capitalists in national security and defense last year, to also some of the larger defense primes. In fact, my own firm, Shield Capital, has a partnership with L3 Harris to try to help merge the larger primes with younger VCs.
Raj, back in 2018, and in a way it seems like ancient history now, there was employee backlash at Google over some government and military contracts. And since then, New York Times has documented this move of a lot of former national security personnel into VC and private equity. To what degree has that influenced the relatively higher number of exits related to defense tech in 2024? How do you expect it to continue to influence the amount of investment and the exits there over the next couple of years?
John, it's a great point. I think we had a level of mistrust between the Valley and the Pentagon that is slowly starting to go away. When the DIU was founded and put together in 2016, then Secretary Carter came out to the Valley to announce its launch and its purpose to bring innovation to warfighters. No Secretary of Defense had visited Silicon Valley in 20 years prior to his attendance. We also had the Edward Snowden disclosures, and it was the height of the mistrust, which was then in these Google protests for the Maven project. But I think since then, we've seen a dramatic shift. I've never seen more engineers that want to work on national security. They see the threat of authoritarianism, what's happened in Ukraine, what's happened in Israel, and they want to be part of something that's a solution. Plus, you're seeing the Pentagon now move more towards working with the Valley. There's a new collaborative combat aircraft program in which Anduril and General Atomics, two non-traditional suppliers, were chosen as the winners. So I think that the future is very bright for this relationship.